Hey everyone, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an update to the channel of Adventures with Chris. We are sitting at 182 subscribers. We also have 181 who likes the Facebook page and 91 that is following the Facebook page. So both platforms are growing relatively pretty quick. So I do want to say thank you to all of those that are out there supporting both platforms and watching my videos and hitting the like button on the videos, as well as sharing the videos, even the ones that are posting the comments. I love reading your guys' comments, especially if I go out to some of these sites and I'm able to find someone's ancestor. It's one of those special moments that really touches my heart, and I think that's my main purpose of this channel, is to share the experiences of American history, because on this channel we do a lot with the Native American as well as American Revolution and the Civil War, but we've been tackling the Civil War aspect of it relatively hard the last few months, and I think it has a lot to do with what's going on today. A lot of these men are getting they're getting put down for their situations of being in the Confederacy and all the backlashes that are coming about what the Confederacy did during the time of the Civil War, all the way up until the end. Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Nathan Bedford Forrest, Jeb Stuart, all these great generals are having their monuments be taken away, and we don't get to be able to experience that adventure and get to share these stories with our young ones and future generations, because all these things are quickly vanishing, and that's what we do here on this channel, is just to try to share insight of each of the generals, as well as what each regiment had to go through in their time of battle. And also this past year we did a lot of reenactments in several different areas. We tackled the Stones River reenactment. Stones River was a pretty big battle. The battle itself, anniversary is coming up. That battle actually occurred on December 31st, 1862, and went until January 2nd, 1863. We did a reenactment over there at the Briarfield Furnace. That is where the Confederate Army was trying to keep General Wilson and his raiders from burning the furnace. Unfortunately, they were not successful in doing that, but that was a great time being out there in Alabama and seeing that reenactment. I've done so many reenactments, and it's kind of leading up to this year. There's two reenactments that I've already have lined up for this year. In April, I will be at the Battle of Shiloh reenactment, which will be the 160th anniversary of the Battle of Shiloh. So I'm super excited about that. In February, I'm going to be out there at the Battle of Aiken in South Carolina, and trying to bring you guys the insight of that battle on both days. Now, not this weekend, but next weekend, I will be re-tackling the battlefield of Shiloh and bringing you guys some of the historical markers and monuments that I wasn't able to get the first time I was out there. I do have a video though on my channel when I was out there about 11 months ago. It's at 691 views, so I do appreciate everybody supporting me with that video as well. We're going to go and also tackle the National Cemetery there again and pay our respects to the fallen. I don't really have much planned for March, so if you guys have any suggestions, make sure you guys drop it in the comment section below. Also in April, I will be heading towards Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, right after the reenactment of Shiloh. So I'm super excited about that. As well as being out in Gettysburg, I'll be traveling and making plans to travel down to Maryland, where we're going to tackle the battlefield of Antietam. If you guys are not familiar, the Battle of Antietam was actually considered the bloodiest battle in one day. And then I'll be heading home from that point and working very diligently to upload these videos to share my experiences with you guys. And then I'll be working towards preparing myself to move myself and my family to the location where William T. Sherman actually ended up capturing on his way to, or during his march to sea, and that would be Savannah, Georgia. So we're going to be planning our routes in Savannah, Georgia this upcoming year. So I'm super excited about that because we can get right over the bridge and get into Charleston and start tackling all those major battlefields out there, even see the site where Joseph E. Johnston and the Army of Tennessee actually surrendered. Also out there in Bentonville, North Carolina is where the last battle of the 31st Alabama was. So I'm super excited about that, and then we'll start working our way up the coastline. And then we'll eventually start getting into Virginia and Richmond and paying our respects to the generals that are buried out there in Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond, Virginia. And then we'll be making our way eventually towards the western part of Virginia near Lexington, where we will be, paying our respects to Stonewall Jackson and his family. And if you guys ever see the movie Gods in General, the two men that worked alongside Stonewall Jackson, and one of the guys was the adjutant who took orders from Stonewall, and then his father was the general of the artillery, or the captain of the artillery out there. They're both actually buried in the same cemetery with Stonewall, so it'd be pretty cool to be able to go out there and see them guys and pay our respects. And then eventually, while we're living in Savannah, we're going to also tackle some of the battlefields in Florida. Can't forget about that. There was some small skirmishes, some semi-big battles out in Florida as well. So we are just trying to bring you guys as much content as we can as the new year approaching. But with that being said, I hope that you guys will enjoy this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. Today's video, we're going to dive into the history of the Confederate flag. Not just talking about the battle flag itself that is so controversial today. And I'm going to stand by my own words by saying that the Confederate flag, or the Confederate battle flag that is being so harshly criticized today, is a symbol of Christianity. You have the St. Andrew's cross, which is part of they kind of took it from the flag of Scotland. So St. Andrew's was also the St. Andrew cross. When I say Christianity, it kind of goes back to the disciple St. Andrew, who actually was a follower of Christ and even walked with Jesus. And the reason why he was crucified on an X is because that he basically said that he wasn't worthy of being crucified on the cross like Jesus. So that is why he was crucified on the X. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into the first, second, and third national Confederate flag. Hope that you guys will enjoy the video, and here we go. The flags of the Confederate States of America have a history of 3 successful designs from 1861 to 1865. The flags were known as the Stars and Bars, used from 1861 to 1863. The stainless banner used from 1863 to 1865, and the blood-stained banner used in 1865. Shortly before the Confederacy dissolution, a rejected national flag design was also used as a battle flag by the Confederate Army and featured in the stainless banner and blood-stained banner designs. Although this design was never a national flag, it is most commonly recognized symbol of the Confederacy. Since the end of the American Civil War, private and official use of the Confederacy flags particularly the battle flag, has continued in philosophy, politically, cultural, racially controversial in the United States. These flags, this include flags displayed in states, cities, towns, and countries, schools, colleges, and universities, private organizations, and associations. And individuals. The battle flag was also featured in the state flags of Georgia and Mississippi. Although it was removed from the former in 2001 and later in 2020, after the former was changed, the city of Trenton, Georgia, has used a flag design nearly identical to the previous version with the battle flag. The Confederacy first official national flag, often called the Stars and Bars, flew from March 4th, 1861 to May 1st, 1863. It was designed by a Persian-American artist, Nicola Mascow, in Monroe, Alabama, and resembled the flag of Austria, with which Mascow would have been familiar. The original version of the flag featured a circle of 7 white stars and the navy blue canteen representing the 7 states of the South that originally comprised the Confederacy: South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. The Stars and Bars flag was adopted March 4th, 1861, in the first temporal national capital of Montgomery, Alabama, and raised over the dome of the first Confederate capital. Mascow also designed the Confederate Army uniform. One of the first acts of the Provisional Confederate Congress was to create the Committee on the Flag and Seal, chaired by William Porcher Miles, a congressman and fire eater from South Carolina. The committee asked the public to submit thoughts and ideas on the topic, and was also historian John M. Kosky puts it overwhelmed by requests not to abandon the old flag of the United States. Miles had already designed a flag that later became known as the Confederate battle flag, and he favored his flag over the Stars and Bars proposal. But given the popular support for a flag similar to the U.S. flag, the Stars and Stripes, originally established and designed in June 1777 during the Revolutionary War, the Stars and Bars design was approved by the committee. As the Confederacy grew, so did the numbers of stars. 2 were added for Virginia and Arkansas in May 1861, followed by 2 more representing Tennessee and North Carolina in July, and finally 2 more for Missouri and Kentucky. Neither of these 2 states seceded, but factional governments declared secession without achieving control of substantial territory or population in either case. When the American Civil War broke out, the Stars and Bars confused the battlefield at the First Battle of Bull Run because of its similarity to the U.S. flag, especially when it was hanging limp down on the flagstaff. The Stars and Bars was also criticized in ideological grounds for its resemblance to the U.S. flag. Many Confederates disliked the Stars and Bars, seeing it as symbolic of a centralist federal power the Confederate States claimed to be seceding from. As early as April 1861, a month after the flag's adoption, some were already criticizing the flag, calling it a severe elimination and a detest padre of the U.S. flag. In January 1862, George William Bagby, writing for the Southern Literature Messenger, wrote that many Confederates dislike the flag. Everybody wants a new Confederate flag. Bagby wrote, "The present one is universally hated. It resembles the Yankee flag, and that is enough to make it unutterable and detestable." The editor of the Charleston Mercury expressed a similar view. "It seems to be generally argued that the Stars and Bars will never do for us. They resemble too closely the dishonored flag of the Yankee Doodle. We imagine that the battle flag will become the Southern flag by popular acclaim. William T. Thompson, the editor of the Savannah-based Daily Morning News, also objected to the flag due to its artistic similarity to the U.S. flag, which for some Confederates had negative association with amalgamation and abolishment. Thompson stated in 1863 that he disliked the adopted flag on account of its resemblance to that of the abolishment depopulance against which we were fighting for. Over the course of the flags used by the CSA, additional stars were added to the canteen, eventually bringing the total number to 13, a reflection of the Confederacy claims of having omitted the border states of Kentucky and Missouri, where slavery was still widely practiced. The first showing of the 13-star flag was outside the Ben Jonson House in Rodstown, Kentucky. The 13-star design was also in use as the Confederate Navy's battle ensign. Many different designs were proposed during the solicitation for a second Confederate national flag, nearly all based on the battle flag. By 1863, it had become well known and popular among those living in the Confederacy. The Confederate Congress specific that the new design be a white field with the Union, now used as the battle flag, to be a square of 2/3 the width of the flag, having the ground red, thereupon a broad saturn of blue bordered with white, and embellished with the mullets or 5 pointed stars corresponding in a number to that of the Confederate States. The flag is also known as a stainless banner, and the matter of the person behind its design remains a point of content. On April 23rd, 1863, the Savannah Morning News editor William Taplin Thompson, with association from William Ross Postell, a Confederate blockade runner, published an editorial championing a design featuring the battle flag on a white background he referred to later as the white man's flag. In explaining the white background, Thompson wrote, as a people, we are fighting to maintain the heavenly ordained supremacy of the white man over the inferior or colored race. A white flag would thus be an emblematic of our cause. In a letter to the Confederate Congressman C.J. Viller, dated April 24th, 1863, a design similar to Thompson's was proposed by General P.G.T. Beauregard, whose earlier penchant for spectacular had established the precedent for visual decisiveness on the battlefield. Proposed that a good design for a national flag would be the present battle day flag, as Union Jack and the rest all white or blue. The final version of the second national flag, adopted May 1st, 1863, did just this. It set the St. Andrew's Cross of stars and the Union Jack with the rest of the civilian banner entirely white. The Confederate Congress debated whether the white field should have a blue stripe, rather it should be bordered in red. William Miles delivered a speech supporting the simple white design that was eventually approved. He argued that the battle flag must be used, but it was necessary to embezzle it for a national flag, but as simple as possible with a plain white field. When Thompson received word the Congress had adopted the design with a blue stripe, he published an editorial on April 28th in opposition, writing that the blue bar running up the central of the white field and joining with the right lower arm of the blue cross
is in bad taste and utterly destructive of the sentiment and harmony of the design. Confederate Congressman Peter William Gray proposed the amendment that gave the flag its white field. Gray stated that the white field represented purity, truth, and freedom. Regardless of who truly originated the stainless banner's design, whether by Hilding Thompson's editorial or Beauregard's letter, the Confederate Congress officially adopted the stainless banner on May 1st, 1863. The flags that were actually produced by the Richmond Clothing Department Clothing Depot used the 1.5 ratio adopted for the Confederate Navy's battle incision rather than the official 2.0 ratio. Initial reaction to the second national flag was favorable, but over time it became criticized for being too white. Military officers also voiced complaints about the flag being too white for various reasons, such as the danger of being mistaken for a flag of truce, especially on a naval ship. It was too easily soiled. The Columbian-based Daily South Carolinian observed that it was essentially a battle flag upon a flag of truce and might send a mixed message. Due to the flag's resemblance to one of truce, some Confederate soldiers cut off the flag's white portion, leaving only the canteen. The first official use of the stainless banner was to drape the coffin of General Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson as it lay in state in the Virginia Capitol May 12, 1863. As a result of this first usage, the flag received the alternate nickname of the Jackson flag. The third national flag, also called the Bloodstained Banner, was adopted March 4th, 1865. The red vertical bar was opposed by Major Arthur L. Rogers, who argued that the pure white field of the second national flag could be mistaken as a flag of truce. When hanging limp in no wind, the flag's Southern Cross canteen could accidentally stay hidden, so the flag could mistakenly appear all white. Rogers lobbied successfully to have this altered introduced in the Confederate Senate. He defended his redesign as having as little as possible the Yankee blue and described it as symbolizing the primary origins of the people of the Confederacy, with the satire of the Scottish flag and the red bar from the flag of France. The Flag Act of 1865, passed by Confederate Congress near the very end of the war, described the flag in the following languages. The Congress of the Confederate States of America did enact that the flag of the Confederate States shall be as follows: the width 2/3 of its length, with the Union now used as the battle flag to be in width 3/5 of the width of the flag, so proportion as to leave the length of the field on the side of the Union twice the length of the field below, to have the ground red and broad blue satire thereon, bordered with white and embellished with mullets or 5-pointed stars, corresponding in a number to that of the Confederate States. The field to be white except the outer half from the Union, to be a red bar extending the width of the flag. At the first Battle of Manassas, near Manassas, Virginia, the similarity between the stars and bars and the stars and stripes caused confusion and military problems. Regiments carried flags to help commanders observe and assess battles and the warfare of the air. At a distance, the two national flags were hard to tell apart. Also, Confederate regiments carried many other flags, which added to the possibility of confusion. After the battle, General P.G.T. wrote that he was resolved then to have changed, if possible, or to adapt for my command a battle flag which would be entirely different from any state or federal flag. He turned to his aide, who happened to be William Porcher Miles, the former chairman of the Confederate Congress Committee on the flag and seal. Miles described his rejection national flag design to Beauregard. Miles also told the Committee on the Flag and Seal about the General's complaints and request that the national flag be changed. The committee rejected the idea by a 4-1 vote, after which Beauregard proposed the idea of having two flags. He described the idea in a letter to his commanding General Joseph E. Johnston. I wrote to Miles that we should have two flags, a peace or parade flag and a war flag, to be used only on the field of battle. But Congress having adjourned, no action will be taken on the matter. How would it do us to address the War Department on the subject of original or badge flags made of red with two blue bars crossing each other diagonally, on which shall be introduced the stars? We would then on the field of battle know our friends from our enemies. According to Koskai, the St. Andrew's Cross, also used on the flag of Scotland as a white satire on a blue field, had no special place in southern ideology at the time. If Miles had not been eager to conciliate the southern Jews, his flag would have used the traditional upright St. George's Cross, also as used on the flag of England, a red cross on a white field. James B. Walter submitted a battle flag design initially identical to Miles except with an upright St. George cross, but Beauregard chose the diagonal cross design. Miles' flag and all the flag designs up to that point were rectangular in shape. General Johnston suggested making it square to conserve material. Johnston also specified the various sizes to be used by different types of military units. Generals Beauregard and Johnston and Quartermaster General K. Bell approved the 12-star Confederate battle flag design at the Ratcliffe home, which served briefly as Beauregard's headquarters near Fairfax Courthouse in September 1861. The 12th star represented Missouri. President Jefferson Davis arrived by train at Fairfax Station soon after and was shown the design for the new battle flag at the Ratcliffe House. Hitty Carey and her sister and cousin made prototypes. One such 12-star resides in the collection of Richmond's Museum of the Confederacy, and the other is in the Confederate Memorial Hall Museum in New Orleans. On November 28, 1861, the Confederate soldiers and General Robert E. Lee newly reorganized Army of Northern Virginia received the new battle flag in ceremonies at Centralville and Manassas, Virginia, and carried them throughout the Civil War. Beauregard gave a speech encouraging the soldiers to treat the new flag with honor and that it must never be surrendered. Many soldiers wrote home about the ceremony and the impression the flag had upon them. The fighting colors boosting morale after the confusion of the Battle of First Manassas. From then on, the battle flag grew in its identification with the Confederacy in the South in general. The flag star represented the number of states in the Confederacy. The distance between the stars decreased as the number of states increased, reaching 13. Then the secessionist factions of Kentucky and Missouri joined in late 1861. The Army of Northern Virginia battle flag assumed a prominent place post-war when it was adopted as a copyrighted emblem of the United Confederate Veterans. It continued use by the Southern Army's post-war veterans group, the United Confederate Veterans, and later Sons of Confederate Veterans, and elements of the design by related similar female descendants organization of the United Daughters of the Confederacy led to the assumption that it was, as it has been termed, the soldier's flag or the Confederate battle flag. The square battle flag is also properly known as the flag of the Army of Northern Virginia. It was sometimes called Beauregard's flag or the Virginia battle flag. A Virginia Department of Historic Resources marker declaring Fairfax, Virginia as the birthplace of the Confederate battle flag was dedicated on April 2nd, 2008 near the intersection of Main and Oak Streets in Fairfax, Virginia. The flagellant Confederate States Navy adopted and used several types of flags, banners, and pennants aboard all CSN ships, jacks, battle insignia, and some small boat insignia, as well as commissioning pennants, designating flags, and signal flags. The first Confederate naval jacks, in use from 1861 to 1863, consisted of a circle of 7 to 15 5-pointed stars across the field of medium blue. It was flown forward aboard all the Confederate battleships while they were anchored in port. One 7-star jack still exists today, found aboard the captured ironclad CSS Atlanta. That is actually dark blue in color. The second Confederate naval jack was rectangular cousin of the Confederate Army's battle flag and was in use from 1863 until 1865. It exists in variety of dimensions and sizes despite the CSN's detailed naval regulations. The blue color of the diagonal satire Southern Cross was much more lighter than the battle flag's dark blue. When the Confederate States of America was founded during the Montgomery Convention that took place on February 4th, 1861, a national flag was not selected by the convention due to not having any proposals. President Jefferson Davis inaugurated took place under the 1861 state flag of Alabama, and the celebratable parade was led by a unit carrying the 1861 state flag of Georgia. Realizing that they quickly needed a national banner to represent their sovereignty, the Provisional Congress of the Confederate States set up the Committee on Flag and Seal, of which the chairman was William Porcher Miles, who was also the representative of South Carolina in the Confederate House of Representatives. The committee began a competition to find a new national flag, with unwritten deadline being that a national flag had to adopt by March 4th, 1861, the date of President Lincoln's inauguration, which would serve to show the world the South was truly sovereign, and hundreds of examples were submitted from across the Confederate states that were not yet Confederate states, and even states in the Union. Many of the proposed designs paid homage to the Stars and Stripes due to a national. Many of the new Confederate citizens felt towards the Union in early 1861. Some of the homage were upright, mimical, whitelist. Others were less obviously inspired by the Stars and Stars and Stripes, yet were still intended to pay homage to that flag. Those inspired by the Stars and Stripes were discounted almost immediately by the committee due to mirroring the Union's flag too closely, while others were widely different, many of which were very complex and extravagant. Those were largely discounted due to the being too complicated and expensive to produce. In addition to the Confederacy national flag, a wide variety of flags and banners were flown by Southerners during the Civil War, most famously the Bonnie Blue flag. was used as an unofficial flag during the early months of 1861. It was flying above the Confederate battalions that first opened fire on Fort Sumner in Charleston Harbor in South Carolina beginning the Civil War. The Van Dorn battle flag was also carried by Confederate troops battling in the Trans-Mississippi and Western Theater of the War. Besides, many military units had their own original flags they would carry into battle.
Alright, you guys, so that is some backstory of the Confederate flag, as well as the first and second national, or the first, second, and third national of the Confederate flags. Hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. Also check me out on Facebook. Love you guys, and talk to you guys again soon.